Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Midwest Smalley. That's what they call me. Another rendition of Any Given Podcast. It's another one, and we got a special guest tonight for sure, man. We got Miss Dorian Evans in the building. Burn, 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 burn. She is the mother of Omari Evans. You see the Washington Huskies T-shirt that she has on. Yeah, okay, you
Always
in that.
representing. Yes.
Yeah, and you know that my Buckeyes are playing them this weekend and everything. You know it's a big game. You know they both 3-0. It's a Big Ten,
Mhm.
a big battle that's going on. But you have a son playing in that game and everything. So how are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling good. It's been a interesting journey thus far, but I
Word.
feel like this is the year. Like if we can, I don't want to say if. Let me rephrase that. I feel
Speaking.
like this is the year. Like we are going to be. This is the team. This
Okay.
is the team that's
Okay.
going to beat the
That's that,
Buckeyes.
that's what Mama's supposed to say. That's what Mama said.
No, I've been watching football a long time, and
Yeah. They
I
got
watch it
to.
from a
This is
different
this
eye.
is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a great game. This is the first real test for Ohio State. You know, what I mean, they haven't really, besides Texas. You know what I mean. They haven't had really any challenge, and this is going to be like the biggest test that I think they're going to see this year so far. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure,
Absolutely.
for sure. And I'm looking forward to being a great game. So it's in Washington, where
Yes,
this is Ohio State's first away game this season and everything. You flying out?
I am. I leave first thing Friday morning. So I'm
Word.
super excited. We have a lot of family coming in for the
Man,
game.
I
So
know that's gonna be exciting.
yeah, I am. I'm really excited. I'm super excited. It's the Purple
Uh,
Rain game. Um,
well, what's that
so
mean for
so
everybody who
it's
don't know?
like all purple. Everybody's gonna be in purple.
Oh
The student
wow.
body is back. They're back in session, so I think that this is going to be. It's already a
Okay.
sold out game, so
Man.
the energy is
Ooh
going to
wee.
be there. The
Ooh
energy is
wee.
going to be
Ooh
there.
wee. I know the tailgating and everything is just gonna be big bananas for that one. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I can't wait.
and
I can't wait.
I have yet to experience sailgating because that's
You
what they
have
do
it?
up there because they're right on the stadium's right on the water, and so
Ooh.
I have yet to experience sailgating, which I kind of would like to dabble into that. That looks like it could
Wow.
be interesting.
So I've been to Washington. I've been to Seattle. You know, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and I love like the water being right there. It rains a lot, but but the water's right there.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like in Hawaii, like it rains and then it's done for the day, or it rains late at night,
Mm,
or knock on wood, thank God we haven't had to sit through any games in the rain yet, or
I hope this one is a clean, beautiful game.
I hope so too, because this one's the first day game. Like
Mm,
they play so late, being that they're on the Pacific
right.
coast. They play at like 8 o'clock at night, so I'm super excited because this is like 12:30, I want to say.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. Okay. So this is the noon game. Okay. This is
yeah.
it's gonna be the big game. I think it's one of the games of the week that everybody's gonna be watching, and no matter who you a
Oh, for
fan
sure.
of, it's gonna be one of those. Gonna
Hmm.
be one of those. Yeah. So I definitely am rooting for Dorian to have a great game. But you know I'm a Buckeye at heart. I got family that went to that one school and everything. Yeah, I had to root for them at times.
Yeah, yeah. I had to put away my scarlet and gray. Um, yes, I've had to put it to the side for the last few years, and it's
Yeah.
okay. It's no
So
withdrawal or nothing.
you had to wear a few different colors, you know what I'm saying, in your day, you know what I mean? We are both alumni of BGSU. Shout out to that BGSU, you
Yeah,
know.
hey Ziggy Ziggy.
We
Yep,
we, we got
absolutely,
we got the Falcons, you know, Booster Road. We got that in common.
absolutely. I love that. I love that. When I found out when you said that you went to BG, I was like, "This is my people's right here."
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I wish I would have got to go back to homecoming this year. I haven't been in a few years, but I'm going to go at next year. I'm not going to miss next year. I
Yeah,
won't. I won't. But shout out to Eddie George. You know, they got Eddie George as a coach
they
over there
coach.
now and everything. They've been doing they having bigger games. And I've been seeing the growth and development of BG, just the school, just how the school has grown, and you know what I
Mhm.
mean, and how the team has developed and gotten bigger, you know what I'm saying, in the MAC and everything. So I love it. I love it. That's dope that we got a legend from Ohio State at Bowling Green.
He all right. He okay. Whatever. No, actually, what's funny is, so I went to the very first football game I've ever taken the kids to was a BG homecoming game.
Really?
Hmm.
Okay, okay, that's dope. That's dope. So how old were they?
I want to say Dana was about 2, and Omari had to be about 6, 7-ish. They
Okay,
were
okay.
young. Hmm.
Wow, wow. So is Omari your oldest?
So actually, Omari is the youngest of my boys, and I have 4 children altogether.
Okay,
So
okay.
my 2 older ones, I have Dallas and Dakota, and then Omari, and then Dana.
Right.
So
Okay. Okay. I knew it was four of them. I just didn't know where Amari fell in line.
yeah, he's the baby boy.
Okay. Okay. That's word. That's word. Okay. So getting into it, like your book, you know,
Hmm.
shout out to your book. I definitely I glimpsed over it. I read as much as I could. I read a lot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. You
Well,
know what I'm
thank you.
saying? Understanding your assignment, like it's on so many levels. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
in a sports like football, especially knowing your assignment and everything to like even like spiritually, like knowing your assignment and your purpose. You know what I'm saying? And like, everything like. I love the name of it and all that. So, the assignment as a metaphor, what does that mean to you?
So I think it really boils down to purpose. For me, you always kind of you go through that phase of life where you're always like, what's my purpose? Like, what am
Hmm.
I here for?
Right.
Um, and I went through that literally right before I went through my divorce. I remember thinking like, okay, like if this is my life, just to be their mother, just to be, you know, where I am right now, then Lord help me to accept that. And in the book I talk about how that's when everything just started to shift and everything really just started to change for me, and what was falling apart was really, getting ready, it was setting me up so everything could fall into place. So my assignment, being a mom, being now I'm an educator, a teacher, um, just understanding that there's no like small roles, I guess, in life. Because
Mm,
sometimes we think, I'm not really doing anything big or I'm not doing anything major. But if you understand that whatever it is that you're doing has purpose, um, then you learn to be content.
yeah. For sure, for sure. And then seeing the fruit of your labor is always the reward. Seeing, you know what I'm saying, your kids do amazing
Absolutely.
things and great things. Like I know that has to be like a tremendous like feeling on the
Absolutely.
inside. So what was the turning point? Would you say your divorce was your turning point?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I've always been a Texas girl at heart. My mother moved to Texas when I was 2. She didn't stay. I think she said we stayed like 6 months and then she moved back to Ohio. But it was just something about Texas I've always loved. Um, And then when I was married, my ex-husband was stationed at Fort Hood down here. So
Mm,
that's how, and before that, even before that, when I was a flight attendant, I was stationed in Dallas. And, I love Texas. And he wanted to go back to Ohio. And I was like, are you sure? Like, do we really
you
want
ain't
to go
want to
back?
go back. We escaped.
I did not want to go back. And, I was just kind of like I loved my job. I had graduated. I went to school a little bit later in life. I love my job.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I worked for the athletic director. Um,
Well,
yes, I was the administrative assistant to the athletic director in my high school, which was Sandusky
ah,
High School.
ah,
So shout out to
hey.
Sandusky High, class of 1996.
Word.
Yes. And I learned a lot. Like I learned so much, but I just knew like there had to be something else. There had to be something more.
Hmm. Okay.
And um it was like literally when I kind of like just said, okay, like I went through this painful part of the journey. Um, I was like, you know what? A friend of mine had opened up a place down here, and I was like, oh, if you ever need an event planner, like I, do that. And she was like, well, don't play with me. I'll have you down here doing events and real estate. And I was like, well, let me just see if she's serious about this. And I came back down here, and I packed up my car. My oldest son was grown. My middle son was working a summer job, and he was getting ready to go into his junior year. And then I had the two littles, and Omari was gonna go in. He was going into seventh grade, and Dana was
Okay.
going into second grade.
Okay.
And I packed up my car with what I could, my two kids and my dog, and we rode out. And so it just really was it's that first step of faith. Like once you take that first step, and then you just
Right. That's what
and
they
then
say.
now.
They say like taking that leap of faith. Like everybody says it. They, like you could talk a big game. Like even like some of the spiritually like speakers. They're like even talking it. Like actually
Mhm,
doing it and actually
mhm.
like that. It can be scary, but it's so beautiful how it's like things just start falling into place. The
It
right
is.
people just start. You know what I'm saying? Coming in, but you had to take that first step to even find it. You would have
Absolutely.
never. They would have never been there. You would have never saw that. Yeah, like. I
Absolutely.
love that. I love that. Uh,
Absolutely.
So the balancing act of, having four kids in different stages, you know what I'm saying, in life, like, helping one balance through adult life, helping one, okay, finishing up school, and then you still got your two littles and everything. At that time, and even to now, how do you balance just keeping your own identity?
So been a battle. Like that has been the biggest, like that's what I'm facing. I think I kind of started facing it and realizing like as I'm writing this book, um
Mhm.
there were times in my life where I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're growing up. Like what am I going to do with myself? Because I've always been so busy that I've never had to think about it. And I think
Right.
that's one of the perks of staying busy is like you're just moving, you're just going. It's just this is the
Yeah.
routine. This is what we have to
Yeah.
do.
You start getting into
Especially
that.
as
Yeah.
yeah, especially as moms, because as mom, now I'm provider, I'm caretaker, I'm down here by myself. Um, I didn't have any family in the area. My closest like blood family is in Dallas. Um,
Okay.
so but it also let me it made me like pull that inner strength that I didn't know I had, because I can remember thinking like I can never do this by myself. I can't do this by myself. I can't do this alone. I can't. And there's been so many like things that I have done that now it's kind of like, okay, y'all better get out of my way because I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I
There
know
ain't
what I'm
nothing I
capable
can't do.
of. I know what I'm capable of.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that confidence. Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
that. That confidence is key, and that confidence, would you say, is what got you over the fear and everything like that? Like, do you still have that fear sometimes? You know what I'm saying, walking in the different
Oh,
arenas and
absolutely.
as things get bigger, or you know what I'm saying, does the confidence help with that?
The confidence is definitely there. It's better than what it was. Am I still a little? Sometimes I have to, go and have that talk with myself in the mirror. Like we not fearful, we faithful,
Okay,
and
but
I can't worry. Like I can't worry about nothing. I just gotta worship, and God has never failed me. So, you know, being that I
I'm a
just keep
bi.
Him centered, and like I just be like, okay, and this is how I really talk to God. I be like, okay, Lord, like what are we doing? Like this your plan? If you've led me to it, I hold on to things that I've heard Him say, and I'm like, you said, sometimes I'm like you said da 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 da.
Right.
So you know,
Okay. Okay. So
yes.
so a lot with growth, and stepping and walking in faith, like that's the key.
Hmm.
Another thing that people don't talk about, especially with self growth, self reflection, and everything. What are some of the things you had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn talking myself out of things.
Mm,
Um, I had to learn to believe, unlearn that you know there's a limit. There's a glass ceiling, right? I had to unlearn staying in my box or just being this small person, and I really had to learn unlearn those kind of things, like the negative self-talk,
mm,
the being afraid of the future, or doing things by myself, to unlearn to like doing things by myself.
word,
And then even now, there's so many things like I'm like, oh, I hate doing this. I don't like doing this.
mm,
And then you find yourself already doing it, and it's like, okay, well, let me just check that off because ain't no point in me dwelling on that anymore.
right.
So,
Okay. Okay. And so the last thing on the book, well, it's a lot, I'm saying, that we can wrap around with the book, understanding this, Simon. But champion building, I wanted to touch on that. Like, what does that all the way mean, and what are the characteristics that you try to instill in your kids, that represents champion building? What does that mean to you?
so how I even started writing the book was I was talking to one of my coworkers. I worked in Shoemaker High School, and I was in school suspension. So I ran like that room. I was the person in there. And I was just talking about how, being a champion, it's not just sports. And she was like, "You should write a book." And I was like, "Huh?" And I just started writing. Like I literally pulled out my phone and I just started writing. So I was like, let's redefine what a champion is. That's the first thing we needed to do because, you hear champion and automatically you think they won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
They competed and won and they were the better, person, team, whatever. And it's not always about that. So we had, in my mind, I'm like, let's break this down. Let's redefine it because I see so many champions every day, especially I work in education. Um, a lot of champions in education,
Hmm.
champion parents that are out here advocating for their children and really trying to um, help them to be the best version of themselves, you
Right.
know. So that's how the book even started.
Okay.
That's how.
Okay. Redefining champion.
Mhm.
So if you
Um,
could summarize that definition, what would that definition be?
I would say a champion is someone who gets up every day. They keep going. They don't let naysayers keep them from, reaching their goals and doing what it is they need to do to be successful. And then, you could even redefine the word success. So there's so many different things that I've learned or unlearned about being a champion, what success is, um, how society looks at what they claim success is compared to what you say it is. Um, the characteristics for me is the willingness to serve. I think that volunteering, community service, giving back, that's like the big one for me.
Okay. Word, word. And I like that. Like, how you say, like, there's champions in everyday life, you know what I mean? Because it's like we can compare it to sports. Of course, you're gonna think of champion, you think of holding up that Super Bowl trophy, you know what I mean? It's like that champion. But it's like, if you ever been a champion or been won a trophy in anything, like, why is that person up there standing up there holding that trophy? Why are they crying and everything? Why is it so
Mhm.
emotional? Why does it mean so much? Because they know about all that it took, all year, all those months,
Absolutely.
going to those practices, that blood, sweat, and tears, the times that they doubted themselves, the times that people doubted them, the times that, what I'm saying, it didn't look good, the times that, it just was hard. You didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you got to keep working. But that can relate to so many different things. That can relate to that same student, you know what I'm saying, in class, all semester, putting in that grind
Absolutely.
for that calculus class and everything. And I'm in the study hall every day, you know what I'm saying, doing this. I'm going to my tutor. I'm literally like, I didn't go to a couple parties that semester and everything so I could go study
Absolutely.
and everything. And I ended up getting an A that semester. You know what I mean? It's that person with that job. Like, all right, I got this job. I got this summer job as a kid, as a student. I'm saving up. I want to give me a car. When I go to school, I want to have me a car. I'm working all summer, and then by the end of the summer, I can finally go to that lot and go get me a car. Like, that's a
Absolutely.
champion. You know what I'm saying? Like like
Absolutely.
it's so many moments of that, and that's just like you can relate that to having to put in that grind and everything with so many different things to be a champion in. That's why I say like this book encompasses like just more than sports. I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
what's
think that
up.
we have to broaden our perspective, um,
And
because
it's
now
crazy, but it's
everything's
crazy
so.
after like getting a hold of your book because I didn't even know like you had a book and everything, getting a hold of
Mhm.
your book and everything, and it was just like, oh my God, I knew that you were going to be the perfect interview, but I was like, bro, she's more perfect than I thought. Like,
Oh, thank you.
I was like, bro,
Thank you.
this is perfect, man. But that's dope. That's dope. You got a lot to, educate, but you are an educator, so that's what
Mhm.
I mean, that's what your gifting, your calling is for. So, speaking on that, I know it's a lot of things that you've experienced now, raising a son, that now is a college star, star athlete and everything. But getting to that point now, especially like in the times that we're at right now, we got the transfer portal, we got NIL and everything, and you've had to experience that. Omari, has gone from being one of Penn State's top receivers, and transferring to Washington and everything. Like, what is that process like? You know what I mean? And then the perspective as a mom and everything. How did you feel, and what did you have to go through?
So, which part of it are you wanting me to talk about? Because it's a
Well,
lot. Like, it's
I
so
don't.
much with
Okay. So,
everything, right?
what? Okay, let's start with what was the spark of wanting to transfer from Penn State, especially when he was having, doing so well at Penn State.
So the whole reason for transferring or um, moving was that Penn State didn't throw the ball as much as they ran the ball,
Hmm.
and um, then it was kind of like they threw it to one person, right? I think it's really hard. The first year is kind of like you're going in, you're novice, you don't really know anything. As a parent, I'm gonna be honest. I grew up in Ohio,
Hmm.
so my whole life it was Ohio State, Ohio State, Ohio State. I didn't even realize Penn State football was as big as it was.
It's a Big
Um,
Ten school. They call it the Big Ten for a reason.
yeah, but again, but I come from
Yeah, we all we know is
the Ohio
that's all
State,
we oh, that's
like
all we know. Yeah, that's all we
yes.
know.
And I went to school with like Orlando Pace. So
Word.
I remember the Orlando Pace and I remember Eddie George and Fremont and that. Like we had a big rivalry and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm from Northeast Ohio. Like I'm from the North Coast. So like again, that was the big thing. That was we didn't have no professional team to really cheer for. I've been a Dallas Cowboy
Word.
girl my whole life.
Me
You
too.
know,
Yeah, well, I'm a Cowboys fan, but
yeah.
yeah, I said I was on the
Um,
transfer portal too.
Yeah, so like I literally when his coaches were like Penn State, Penn State, Penn State, I'm like, okay. And they came to the game late, right? Like
Mhm.
we had been talking to Rutgers for a whole year and
Okay.
Vanderbilt and different, there was so many different teams that we were talking to, and Penn State came late to the game,
Okay.
and their offensive
So it wasn't it
coordinator.
wasn't the it wasn't the first choice at all.
Oh no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Um, and then it was kind of like, I've always valued education, and Omari he's very intelligent. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, he's like, in the vet program down here, and then he wanted to be a veterinarian. So I wanted to find a school that would fit all of, everything that he wanted to do in life. And, Rutgers had that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we find out Penn State has that. And, there was a lot, like I tried to ask him every question I possibly could before he made this decision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hey, they don't have their names on the back of uniform. Does that bother you? But everything, every
Yeah.
little thing is basic. He's like, I don't care about that. Okay, all right. Just the one good thing was like his dad, his brothers, and his grandma and stuff. Like they're literally 4 hours away. So even sending him
Okay.
halfway across the country, I was okay with it because I knew that somebody could get to him if need be before I could
Right.
get there.
Okay.
Um, but it was just one of those things like when they came and his coaches were like, man, this is Penn State and that. And I'm like, okay. And my whole thing was I told Omar, I said, you go where you can imagine yourself for 4 years. Take the transfer portal out of it. Take transferring out of it. You think about committing for 4 years somewhere.
Okay.
And, the first year they let his wide receiver coach go. And then the
See.
second year they let his OC in the middle of the year go. And I think that was kind of like one of those things, like he kind of felt like alone. Like he's like, Mom, like my coaches are gone. Those were the coaches that were recruiting him actively. Those are the ones that have
Exactly.
been on the home visit
Those
with,
ones that's going,
Coach
yeah,
Franklin.
they gonna fight
You
for you.
know,
They the ones that wanted you. Yeah.
right. And those are the ones that I think they saw the most potential in him. Because Omari was a
Exactly.
quarterback in high school. He was a wide receiver
Mm,
in like the middle league. And then when he went into
mm,
middle school, he was like, I'm a quarterback. And I looked at him and he's like, and I was like, okay, well, you do what you do. And he was that quarterback. He ran the ball, he throw the ball, you know. Um, they put him everywhere on the field by the end of his high school career.
yeah.
So it was just kind of one of those things like, um, he's a very like loyal person.
Mm-hmm.
He's very I think he and I have that in common. Like we don't like to be uncomfortable, right? Like when we find our people or our place, we don't you don't always want to move. But it was just the fact that like I'm like, all right, we gotta we have to look at the stats. We have to look at the facts and we have to look at what you want to do in life. And if going pro is what you want to do, um, and your goal is to have 1,000 yards and win a championship and, you know, things like that. Can we really do that here? Is this the
Right.
best place for you?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it just came down to like, he didn't want to be there anymore. And I like, we supported his decision. We supported his whole family. Like we're gonna support whatever it is that you want to do. And I think it was the hardest thing was for him to actually pull the trigger. That was the
Right.
hardest thing.
Right.
They was coming off of a good playoff run, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just played for the Big Ten championship.
Right.
They didn't have the time that everybody else that wasn't still playing had to even go into the portal.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an easy decision. And it wasn't because of anything like any bad blood with Penn State. It just, I felt like he had to bet on himself.
I
I said,
see.
Omari, sometimes you got to bet on you and you have to make the best decisions for you. I said, if this is where you want to stay, I will support you. I will be there. I will cheer. I will, whatever it is you need. But if this
So
is not
was it a
it,
situation where like Washington was like coming after him, like they were reaching out, or were there any other schools reaching out to him? How does that work?
so you can't. be contacted by anybody. Um, how the portal works is the portal opens up usually for 10 days. Um, because they were in the playoff, they had like 5 days. So he had 5 days from the end of his playoff, journey to go into the
Mm,
portal.
wow.
Um, yes, and it was like day 4 when he went in. Um, Once he went into the portal, he started getting calls. Syracuse, Tennessee, Washington, Texas Tech. I want to say there was like one more, and it was like being back in recruiting all over again. It was the official visits. Um,
Wow. So they
you know.
it's just like all over again. Oh wow.
Mhm,
I didn't know it went, I
mhm,
didn't know it worked like that. That's so they actually come
mhm.
and they got to do the whole pitch again.
Yeah, it's harder this time because you don't have um
You don't have a lot of
you
time.
don't have that built relationship
Exactly.
that
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to kind of
over the year
make
of
a decision.
recruiting.
You got to make a decision kind of quick. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's different. That's different. Uh, okay. So NIL and going into NIL for people that don't really understand it, how does that work and where does the money come into play? Like I know like some of these schools, especially like these bigger schools, these Big Ten schools, they actually pay the players and everything now. So um is it like a contract? How does that work out? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So NIL is name, image, and likeness, and basically you're getting paid based off of your name, image, and likeness. Um, and there's kind of, and I think what people don't understand is like you have NIL, and then you have like these collectives, which is kind of like a booster club type of thing for college, right? And so you
Mm,
have these they're two totally different things.
okay.
And um, NIL is like if a company comes to you and says, "Hey, we want you to come and make a commercial for us, and we're
Okay.
going to pay you because we're using your name, image, and likeness." A lot of times with NIL, you'll see players like doing commercials or car dealer things or something like that,
Mhm.
and it's you have to be really careful because there's some things where you can't wear like any of the logos of the college, so
Mm,
they're using you based off of who you are, but you just got to
not the
be
college.
really, careful with NIL. You got to read the fine print. You got to read the contracts. And I read all of Omari's contracts. When it comes to NIL, when it comes to, cuz I know he's not going to do it. He's not going to take the time to read it. So I read it and I go over things with him. Um and I'm like, "Do you understand what this really means?" Like, you can't
Hmm.
you can't mess up. You got to be in good standing. You got to, don't be out here doing stupid stuff. Just little things like that, like,
Right.
and that's why you see sometimes players getting into trouble or losing their NIL deals and things like that.
Do those boosters and everything, do they approach like, so when they do the visits and everything to like try to get them to come to the schools and
Mhm.
everything once they enter the portal, do the boosters like already come with those with those offers?
Like the collective,
Yeah.
they kind of do. They kind of, um I think it's just kind of part of the recruiting process now. You go through the facility, you do this, you do that, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna have our collective person come in or the representative from it come in and talk to you type of thing.
Wow. Okay.
So it's
So it's
just kind
all
of part of.
that's the system now. It's a, yeah, it's a brand new system. That's different. That's crazy. Like, man, I could only imagine that changes the whole game. But I think it's the dope for the players, like for sure. They deserve it.
It is. I think honestly, there's some like pros and some cons to it. I would often hear people say that they love watching college football because you can tell like the players are still really, trying, and they're really hungry, and they really want to, there's still that goal of going pro, so they're still
Yeah.
working really hard. Um, and I've also like like they get a stipend for playing, and they're getting an education. And for me, education is very important. So if a school is approaching us, I'm gonna always make sure that the education part of it is handled. You know, when we visited Syracuse, 90 out of 94 of his credits would have transferred. He could still graduate on time. You know, when we visit Texas Tech, they hadn't really looked at his transcript, and they're talking about some degree that they created for football players, and I'm like, let's go. You know, because I'm like, no, you know, he's been working very hard for these last 3 years. And
Yeah, he
if he
wants to
can't walk
actually have
away,
he wants he wants his degree.
if he can't walk away with a piece of paper, because, you know, they'll say, oh, well, he can come back. You know, if he decides to go into the draft, he can come back for a lifetime to get this degree and da 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 da. And I'm just like, yeah, no. And I sit down and I have these conversations with Omari, and I'm like, well, like when you're training for the combine, do you really want to be doing schoolwork? Like, do you want to think about that? And he's like, no. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, so let's finish this chapter, right?
Mhm.
Let's get that piece of paper, because at the end of the day, that piece of paper is going to take you further in life than anything, right? Like, and that's one of the perks of playing, being a college athlete, being a student athlete. You are a student first, and that's something that um I've never had to like worry about his grades and stuff. This is the kid. I come home and he was already at the table doing homework at a
Yeah,
very young age.
that's
Um,
dope.
I don't think he's not ever been on honor roll, especially like middle school and up. Like, he was in a gifted school in Ohio, and then, you know, he played the violin starting in fourth grade. You know,
Yeah,
there's so like,
you sound like me, man. We got a lot in common. You know, I was
yes,
a AB student, you know, my whole life, and I played the violin
yeah.
since fourth grade. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, you know, he wasn't a partier. You know, he might go to a birthday party, but it's like, you know, he knew, like, they did birthday dinners down here, so they go out to dinner and they pay their own dinner, or, you know, and then I go pick them up, or sometimes I'd be in the restaurant in the other side or
Mhm.
something, eating with the moms or something like that. So like, he wasn't. I didn't have to worry about those kinds of things with him.
That's dope. That's
So
dope.
I knew
Like
going to
he played
college.
quarterback in high school. He's smart.
Yeah, and I knew going to college, like, I wasn't worried about his grades. Like, I wasn't worried about the load of school and college, or college and the athletics with him,
In
because
football,
I
yeah.
knew he already managed it very well down here.
So, how big is financial literacy, you know, with instilling that in them now and everything? Is that something like you work on now? Did you work on it even prior to, you know what I mean, getting to
hmm
college and everything? And how big is that for y'all's conversations now?
Omari was always a saver. Like, he would have birthday money the whole next year. Like, what kid do you know does that, right? So spending money was not really an issue with him. Um, the financial literacy piece, the schools tend to do a really good job of educating and having like speakers come in and financial people come in, and, you know, helping them with all of that. They do a really good job of providing, right? Now, whether or not your kid is listening, that's a whole different thing. And then
Yeah,
even
right.
just like um with with NIL and all of that stuff, it's like, okay, you know, what are the steps that I have to take? And one of the things that I did as a parent um, was um, I went back and I got my global sports management certificate through
Wow.
NYU and Yellow Brick.
Wow.
And, you know, yes, I paid for it, you know, but it was something that was important to me, because I'm all about, like, I try to think futuristically. So
Hmm.
I need to know everything I can learn about not just college sports, but like, let's learn all of the other stuff. And I learned a lot of just how sports in general work. It blew my mind.
Mm,
Just, and I think that, I understand the branding piece of it. I understand when you walk into an arena or walk into a stadium, why their placement for signage and how they get people engaged into coming back to games and things like that, and why even though teams are losing, people are still fans, and I get all of that now. I have a better
right.
understanding. Um, and it's really helped me with negotiating different things for him for
Right.
contract wise.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's super mom. The most most of us, she actually took a class. Like, look, y'all ain't gonna be tricking me in these meetings, okay?
Yeah,
y'all
it's,
ain't gonna
it's
get y'all they ain't gonna get y'all with the okey doke.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then now you have these kind of like, oh, I can, like, I remember the first call when he first left. It was, I just know it was summertime, and I got this call from somebody, oh, we want to represent him, and it won't cost anything. And they were like in Arizona, and I always do my research. So the first thing I do is I look for a website, and if your website ain't telling me nothing, you might as well go. And then it got to the point where Omari was just like, he would just give people my number. He's like, call my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, send me the like, I want to see it before, or we having conversations, and I'm like, this don't sound quite right.
Yeah.
Or just and that's one thing. He's very quiet, doesn't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm like,
I'll be
send
the
them
bad guy.
always. Always. For my kids, oh yeah, most definitely. I don't like to be, but I will be. Um, and
Mama can
because
play.
they want a percentage of NIL or collective money. That's what they want. They want a
Right.
percentage because of it won't cost you anything unless I actually do something for them. Unless I get them a deal type of thing. And we had one at, for a little bit. Um, and then it was just kind of like, well, he wasn't really doing anything, and I was doing more work than he, so it was kind of like, do we really want
Yeah.
to continue? And Mari's like, and I'm like, well, do you want me to tell? Yes. Oh, okay. No problem. Well, I got you. Um, and so you got to be careful of things like that too.
Right. I know. I bet there's a lot of that going on out there, and for sure, a lot of what do they call those? Because it's like those aren't
They're,
agencies.
um, they're like management companies,
Okay. Okay.
you know, they're
Okay.
like,
But they can't
mhm.
call themselves agents or nothing yet, right? Or can they?
I do think that they are licensed. Some of them are licensed. Like they're
Okay.
licensed in the different states. Some of them are licensed in different, like all around.
Okay. I see.
But
I see. It's so many little. Yeah. Like you said, it's a lot.
yeah, and it's like, oh, I don't want any of your money, but if you go pro, I expect you to stay with me, type of
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. So
And
that
it's
they
like,
want to build that type of relationship. Okay.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. With that promise.
Right, right. So it's it's a lot. It's just, if you can read and break things down, and um, I'm fortunate because I have an uncle who has helped, to help kind of guide me and walk me through some things with that's been in the age, been an agent for a long time. So um
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Zoe.
I kind of have that like, that smoking gun. So,
Shout out
he
to
a real
Uncle Zoe.
confidence builder right there. That's a real one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shout out to
That-
my uncle. So yes, yes.
that- so, did Washington having anything? Did it have anything to do with them being in the Big Ten? Because I know, like you said, we come from the kings of Big Ten, Ohio State, and everything, and then he went to Penn State and going to Washington. He stayed in the Big Ten. Did Big Ten have anything to do with that decision or anything?
I don't think so. Like I mean, ultimately, I don't think it had anything to do with it. It wasn't like we only want to stay in the Big Ten. Because like when we went to Syracuse, you know,
It was
um,
a consideration.
yeah, oh yeah, because we knew Coach Fran from when
Mhm.
he was at Rutgers, so we already had that relationship built with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, yeah. No, it's good.
Um,
Yeah.
I think for me, looking at all the different teams, it was kind of like, all right,
Shout out to that coach. I like him, man.
yeah, I love Coach Fran.
I like
Like
him, man. He
you know,
raw. And he's a perfect for like NIL like era. Like, he has that mindset.
and he's very like, I want you to do what's best for you no matter what. Like no hard feelings type of person, you
Right.
know. And
That's what I
so
get from
I
him for
respect
sure.
that. I
That's the
respect
vibe I
that.
get from him for sure. Yeah. That I
Absolutely.
can see that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, so far, I'm sure he's going to have a lot more. What is your proudest moment so far watching Amari's journey?
Um, my proudest moments come in the little things, I think. When I see him run out and he goes to the end zone and he, gets on one knee to say a prayer. Um, the growth in him as a young man and not giving into like the temptations of, you know, being in the position he's in. I love that he's still very humble. When he comes home, he takes my car to wash it. He still takes out the trash.
Oh,
Um, he still has, that pretty much the same friend group he had in high school. And shout out to all of his friends because, you know, they're all in college. Like when I look at the picture of them in high school and now to see, him with his friends and they're all in college. Um, that's just warms my heart,
yeah.
just knowing that he made good choices in who he hang out with, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I know no kid is perfect, right? Like I know,
Yeah.
they're all gonna make mistakes and it's all a journey and stuff, but it's just one of those things like as a mom, that is one thing
Yeah.
that I'm proud about.
That's
Just just
beautiful.
just a humble kid. He's just a humble kid. You
That's
know,
beautiful.
he's great. He's a great kid.
That's powerful. Well, salute to you, mom. That's a testament to your abilities as a super mom. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
thank
Definitely. You know what I mean? Like, not only did you raise a talented star athlete, but sounds like a overall good kid, man.
you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love it. Well, everybody, this is Dorian Evans. Make sure that y'all get the book. Her book is available. Where is it all available? I know it's on Amazon and everything.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and then through my publisher, um,
I'll have the
Archway.
link. I'll definitely have the link and everything, picture
Thank
form to go
you.
get it and everything. I'll have that popped up and everything. Understanding the assignment. Make sure y'all go get that and then be on the lookout for the big game this week. She'll be somewhere in the stands. You might see her on TV
Oh
going
yeah,
crazy and somewhere
always.
flooded in that purple. You know what I mean? But out there, they have Ohio State this week. Big game. Good luck to y'all.
Thank you.
Even though I'll be looking from a different angle. But good luck to the Washington Huskies, man, and Omari Evans and his mother, Dorian Evans. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
educating us. I learned a lot on this myself,
Well,
so
good.
I know a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, that watch this, they'll have something to learn too for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
appreciate
love it.
you.
I love it. So, it's been a journey and I'm looking forward to whatever's next, whatever capacity that he wants me to work in or whatever. It's a lot though. It's definitely a lot.
It seems like you ready. I know you ready for it.
Yeah.
You got this.
Yes.
You got
Yes.
this. Well, hopefully we, you know what I'm saying, we meet again and we get you back on here, you know, when Omari is even bigger.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
after we
for sure.
win this weekend,
She had to say it. She had to put that in there. Okay.
after we win, we beat
I'm
Ohio State.
I'll let you have it, Mom. I'll let you have it. I got you. Yeah.
You just hit me up. We'll run it back.
I definitely will. I definitely will. Well, thank you again, and talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have
Yep.
a good night.
You too.
Bye bye.